But now, like we're joined every Thursday at this time, live from the NovaCare complex, our man Tim McManus from ESPN on the Comcast Business Hotline. Tim, hey, what's going on, man?
What's up, Bill? How you doing?
Not too bad. I wish we could talk about an Eagles win, but that seems like it was an eternity ago.
has been a long time. I was just thinking today, like, remember how they came off the bye last year and like everything changed? I almost went the opposite direction this year. So after that Week 9 bye, they've only been averaging 16.2 points per game. It's like the offense has seemingly gone backwards on them after the bye week. So very, very strange season that we're looking at here.
Yeah, you're right. Complete opposite from last year. Well, let's talk about that offense then. Sirianni, you reported this past weekend, was more involved in the offensive meetings headed into that Chargers game. And I've heard some people saying there were a lot of differences with that offense on Monday night. What did you say?
I thought so, too. I mean, the first thing that stands out is that they were in empty sets a whole lot. They were running motion more, I thought. I thought that the run game had a little bit more variety. And I think the same thing could be said for the passing game. So it feels to me, it's not like they were reinventing the wheel, and it's not like they went outside of their playbook, but I do think that they opened up the playbook more. They took a little more shots downfield, I thought, and in the intermediate area. Some of that led to good things. Some of that led to turnovers. But, yes, I thought that there was a different flavor to the offense on Monday night.
Yeah, and what I was expecting, Tim, and I'm surprised we didn't see, was more Jalen Hurts runs. Like, they threw the ball 40 times, and Jalen only runs it 4 times. And it seems like every week we keep saying, all right, this is going to be the week that Jalen's going to run more. I mean, are you giving up on that, or do you think we will see him start to use his legs down the stretch here?
No, I think it's definitely near the top of their mind to get him going on the ground more. And I believe that they wanted to, but the kind of looks that they were getting from the Chargers were preventing them from running Hurts as much as they wanted. So I think that it is there. It's something that they're going to incorporate more. But, man, you hit on one of the most important things right there, Bill, and that's the fact that they passed 40 times. This was obviously a tight game that goes to overtime, very little separation. And I thought that Saquon looked good. I mean, obviously he had the 52-yarder off of the tush-push fake, but other than that, you know, he's averaging 6+ yards per carry in that game. It was the first time that the second time all season where he went north of 100, and you were going up against a defense that had the number 2 passing D in the entire NFL and was susceptible against the ground game, and yet Hurts drops back 40 times. So I just don't get that.
Yeah, it was puzzling to me as well, especially when you look at what has made this team good over the last few years. They don't throw the ball a lot. They're always in the bottom of the NFL in terms of pass attempts, and they come out in a close game and then ask him to do something he's never done in a win. He's 0-6 throwing the ball 40 or more times. So why do it on Monday night? It just didn't make a lot of sense.
It didn't make a lot of sense to me either. And so, you know, they need to – I think it's good that, you know, they're trying different things. Sirianni is more active in these offensive meetings. They are open to different plays and incorporating them. But now it becomes, okay, they're in this stretch run. They got 4 games left to kind of figure it out, and they have to establish an identity. And I don't think that there's any way that a successful identity for this team is one that involves Jalen Hurts dropping back that many times on offense. So it's perplexing that they did it in a critical game against the Chargers. But now as they start looking to this closing slate, which is pretty favorable for them, I think it's all about establishing, you know, the offensive rhythm and making sure that you get the ground game going in particular. I mean, we know all the good things that happened last year when they turned their attention to that. They threw themselves into it. You know, remember Jalen Hurts saying, like, I'm submitting myself, you know, to this identity. They need to get back to that. It's right in front of them. Why they're not doing it and why they haven't gotten that going yet is a bit of a mystery, but I think that's really what they have to focus all of their energy on over the last stretch here in the regular season.
Yeah, we're talking to Tim McManus of ESPN on the Comcast Business Hotline. He's down at the NovaCare complex now. One of the ways that maybe they can get back to that identity is if the offensive line gets back to being a dominant force, but they've been battling injuries all year, and I saw your tweet from a few minutes ago. No Lane Johnson at practice, no Landon Dickerson. How close is Lane to returning, and what's going on with Landon?
Yeah, I think that Lane is close, but I'm not expecting him to play in this Raiders game. Now, they didn't put him on IR, so they were holding out some hope that he would return within the 4-week window. But obviously that's not something that you want to push. Plus, you probably factor in, okay, can we get by against this opponent without having Johnson in the lineup? Maybe that factors into their thinking a little bit, but the bottom line is that you want to have him, healthy and being able to sustain and be himself over the course of however many regular season games he plays, and then obviously into the postseason, most importantly. I think it's right around the corner for Lane Johnson's return. As far as Landon Dickerson, he was listed as a limited participant yesterday, but we were just out there. And like you said, no Landon Dickerson. But he had a rest day last week and ended up coming back and playing. And we've seen, I thought there was a number of different times this year, Bill, where he goes down. I'm like, oh, he's not coming back. And including on Monday, and he ends up coming back in the game. He's very tough to count out. I would be surprised if he doesn't make his way back at some point during the course of this week to try to get ready for this Raiders game.
Yeah, now let's look ahead to this Raiders game, because I don't think a lot of people are necessarily watching Raiders games start to finish here in the city, but this team looks like a bad team. I mean, how bad are the Las Vegas Raiders?
Pretty bad. They've lost 7 straight. They have 2 wins total, and they're just, they just don't have a whole lot going for them. I mean, Brock Bowers on offense, you got Max Crosby, so it's not like they're without star players. It looks like probably it'll be Kenny Pickett at quarterback. People very familiar with him around here. But it's in this league, you can't just roll out your helmet and win. I mean, even if they're not household names on the rest of the roster there, it doesn't mean that they can't play ball. And if you look, week 1, the Raiders beat the Patriots. They took the Jaguars to overtime. They pretty recently played Denver close. So it's not like it's not a good team, but, the margins in the NFL are still so small that the Eagles need to be on their game. And so they can't take anything for granted in this circumstance.
Yeah, any given Sunday, right, especially in the NFL. Well, that was the question that I threw out to people today, though, is there anything that could make fans feel better about the Eagles' Super Bowl chances in the next 2 weeks? Because you look at the opponents, it's all right, the Raiders aren't that good, the Commanders aren't that good. I mean, Tim, you've been covering this team for a long time. What would make you feel better over the next 2 weeks if the Eagles could do it?
Yeah, to me, I think that there is things that they can do that can make people feel better. Because for me, Bill, this whole season hasn't been about the opponent. It's been about the Eagles and getting out of their own way. Just think about the level of talent on offense versus what the product has been on Sundays. The amount of penalties, the amount of just dips in execution. They've sort of stumbled their way offensively through the entire season. And, of course, if you beat up on the Raiders, you're not going to feel as good as if they, beat up on the Bills or they play in a couple of weeks. But, the point is that, if they can generate some positive momentum, I think that can start to be a salve for what has been sort of plaguing this team all year long. And you have guys in the locker room like Saquon Barkley and Jordan Davis who have kind of been these pillars of optimism. And I think you talk to both of them after the game, and they're both still just totally believing in who they are and what they can be. And they're the ones that are holding the post here of, it's going to turn. It's going to turn. And you need to start seeing that. If the Eagles have any shot of turning this season into one that has Super Bowl aspirations, it doesn't matter who they're playing on the other side. What matters is that they start to execute and build momentum on the offensive side of the ball. Sort of everybody starts believing again. And if you can catch that wind in your sails, if it comes against the Raiders and the Commanders, great. I mean, wind is wind, right? So if that gets into your sails and all of a sudden you start rolling towards the postseason, then they all of a sudden become a pretty dangerous team. So I don't think that the doubters are going to be overturned over the next 2 weeks, but I do think that it's on them to kind of build up the energy that has been lacking of getting this, what should be a high-powered offense, start to look like one. And if they can do that, I think that would be a very successful 2 weeks for this Eagles team.
All right, man. Well said. We appreciate it as always, Timmy. I'll let you get back to work down there.
All right, sounds good, Bill. Always good talking with you, man.
Yes, sir. There he is, Tim McManus of ESPN, just joined us on the Comcast Business Hotline.
What's up, everybody? It's Bill Colarulo from Unfiltered with Ricky Bo and Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we post a ton of content. It's not just what you hear on air. We're posting content all day long. We do some things before the show, after the show, even stuff during the show. So subscribe, like, do whatever you got to do. We got all this content coming to you every single day.